everyone. We're talking with Vincent Orleck, the president of the social. Oh, sorry, Troy, I was standing in front of you. I'm sorry.
Really? No, I'm okay. I was
I'm like, hey, we're
Vincent.
talking to Vincent. He's right here.
People would much rather look at you. I know
No,
that.
not true.
Top 5 social media headlines of the whole decade. And was I wrong off the top when I said, Vincent, it seems like this past decade, social media went from something that was kind of like a toy to much more. Just exploded.
Oh, it totally exploded. I mean, one of the things we're going to talk about is the IPO and monetization, the IPOs of all these platforms. It absolutely exploded. And part of that was related to the IPO. The first thing we'll talk about is Facebook acquiring some of the bigger companies here. Instagram, they acquired in 2012. WhatsApp, they actually paid like $19 billion for. Instagram was only $2 billion, and that was like a question back in the day.
People were like, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
Why would they pay this much money for these
Because
things?
Instagram was not what it is now. It was really just a feed. I don't even think there was video at the time you could do. It was just the main
no
feed.
stories that we see at the
No
top.
stories, no live video, no
Right.
anything. And then they acquired WhatsApp, which was a bigger international play for sure. But these were two of the shrewdest moves they actually made when you look back on it now. And then Snapchat turning down the $3 billion offer from Facebook. Snapchat is still successful. It's not what it could have been, I think.
It's not close to Instagram.
It's not close to Instagram. It's not close to Facebook, user number wise, but it absolutely has a market, 200 million users, younger crowd.
Yes.
They're not using it for the storytelling capability. They're using it for the communication.
So it's kind of like what Microsoft did, where Microsoft, every time it would see an emerging technology that it saw as a threat or something, they did a really good job of acquiring those companies and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger.
And Microsoft bought LinkedIn.
Yep.
Microsoft bought LinkedIn.
Exactly.
So, the second thing we'll talk about real quick is social media's influence in politics.
Huge.
Obviously huge, right? It started with President Obama really using it on a grassroots level with his first campaign.
Did a lot of fundraising.
Fundraising, awareness.
About that. Sure.
Yes, absolutely. It took everyone else a little while to pick up on that. The re-election time in 2012, definitely used it again, and the GOP really didn't still. And then obviously President Trump has used it, his campaign used it for all kinds of things.
Have the Russians used it?
Yeah.
Well, Vincent?
That's
I'm
what we're saying.
You don't need to answer that question.
It's in the news. So, the other third trend is, can you lose the privacy you never had? A lot of people talk about privacy on social media, and they're concerned about their data privacy, but in reality,
there's no privacy.
You
give up
the
everything.
illusion of privacy
Yes,
was always there. And up until the last couple of years, people were not really concerned about that until, a lot of it did have to do with the 2016 election and potential Russian interference and data, everything. Your data is being used for positive and negative.
They market to you.
Yes.
Think about what you do on social media, though. You're saying, hey, I'm here right now. Hey, here's what I like. Here are my friends. Here's where I live.
You're feeding it all the information.
Right. It involved that whole Cambridge Analytica thing. There's a great documentary about that, by the way, that'll give you all the insight.
Yes.
It's interesting.
So monetization. So these have become some of the biggest businesses in the world.
Absolutely. Some of these, Facebook, even Snapchat is in the top 25 of IPOs of all time. But Facebook is absolutely in the top, I believe, 5. You're talking about billions of dollars when they went IPO. LinkedIn, like we said, was acquired by Microsoft, so they essentially had an exit strategy in a way. Pinterest just went public this year and is doing pretty well. They have an e-commerce aspect to them as well.
Yes, they do.
People do like to look at things and shop for things on Pinterest. Instagram is not on this list because it's part of Facebook.
Right.
But obviously Instagram is also now getting into more of an e-commerce aspect
The
too.
scary thing about acquiring any of these companies and owning stock in these companies, if you do it, because you never know who's going to be Snapchat and who's going to be Facebook, right? Snapchat was hot as hot was going to get, and people saw Instagram is not being that hot, but now which is worth more, if you think
Definitely.
about it. If you had
And
Instagram
even LinkedIn, back in the day, they weren't really sure that it was going to become what it is even now with this many users.
So LinkedIn is big?
LinkedIn is huge. For a business purpose, it's just people look at it differently.
Well, and not just that. Not only can you put your resume and things like that on LinkedIn.
You got a resume on there?
Yeah, I do.
You looking to get out of it? Hey, hold on a second.
Hey, I like you, and I like my.
Apparently
I love
not that
Fox
much.
10,
Yeah, we like you guys.
But you know what's great is that it actually gives you. It'll connect me with jobs I never thought that I could actually apply for. So I have a master's in public policy, and it sent me, hey, do you want to apply for this job at Uber?
No,
this
she doesn't.
policy advisor.
Driver?
Not a driver. Although that's a great gig. Make your own hours.
Side hustle.
But it does do a lot of different things that you don't initially think that could potentially help you.
And actually ties into this with the last one, live video. LinkedIn just launched live video this year. It's not available for everybody yet. It's very select
for
users.
Interviewing? Or what would that be for?
Really anything. Yeah, any sort of strategy, trainings. I've seen events, conferences, do live interviews, do live sessions, that sort of a thing. But the era of live video this year really, this decade happened from the middle on. That was the primary one. This app called Meerkat, 2015 at South by Southwest was a huge thing, but lasted only a few months. Twitter came in with Periscope.
Oh, that's right. Remember Periscope?
That was huge in the news industry too.
Yes, it was.
I remember seeing some newscasters here even doing some live
we
things.
would do it live
Absolutely.
in the morning.
Yep.
Periscope.
It was super cool. Periscope has since died down.
See, that's the whole thing. You invest in Periscope, and all of a sudden, your stock's worth pennies.
Yeah, well, and Twitter had purchased Periscope, and I mean, Twitter's not as successful stock-wise as the others, right? But Facebook Live came in. Now we have Twitch, which is gamers, primarily esports, which is huge. Hundreds of millions of users on Twitch that people don't even really think about it. YouTube Live, that launched a few years back. Again, LinkedIn. So there's live video is still in its infancy.
Oh, you think that's so? I mean, not to put you on the spot, but the next decade, what do you see the next decade? Give me one thing that's going to blow our minds that we see in the next decade, social media-wise.
Social media-wise, I feel like the storytelling, the approach to storytelling. So Facebook is already moving this way. Stories, the actual functionality of stories, your screen is already taken up heavily by stories. Even on Facebook, and they're really trying to. The Facebook app will not look the same within 5 years.
So you think like features, people like little films, little short stories, little
stories
video?
In the sense of people documenting what they're doing.
Yes.
I do see there might be more of a backlash in the next few years of people being on social media, but it's going to be more of documentation because you see the kids now doing really creative things on TikTok, like we mentioned.
Yeah, the editing.
They're producing stuff.
But yeah,
sure.
a lot of this younger generation that really is already technologically savvy and knows how to create things and put it out there.
And they consume it. So Vincent, great talking with you.
Vincent, thank you.
Thanks for
Happy
coming
New
in,
Year.
buddy. All right.
Nice